Thank you very, very much, everyone, for coming to the closing session of the CS EdX 2023 conference, Developing Digital Literacy and Critical Thinking Skills in a Hybrid World. I think we should all take a deep breath and congratulate ourselves for a great 3 days. We have heard amazing information and expertise has been shared, and the joy and passion of what we do is what makes Charles Sturt so special. So thank you very, very much for coming along. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country for this, our final session. The Division of Learning and Teaching acknowledges the transformative effect of education. Our impact leads to ever-improving educational outcomes, inspiring our students to create a world worth living in. We recognise the inclusive nature of First Nations educational practices and the innovative strategies that have ensured the continuing diversity of lands, waters, and peoples for millennia. We also acknowledge that in our practice, we are guided by the elders, past and present, of the country in which our campuses live, the Wiradjuri, the Biripi, the Gunagara, and the Ngunnawal. In the spirit of Yinjamara Wenangana, we recognise the depth of First Nations ways of being, ways of knowing, and ways of doing, inspiring our commitment in supporting staff and students in the wisdom of respectfully knowing how to live well in a world worth living in. Thank you very much, and thank you to the Goulet team in the division for that amazing acknowledgement. You know who I am, and I'm here to talk a little bit about what's happened over the last 3 days. So on day one, I'm just going to do a little bit of, there we go. We had the opening address from our esteemed and honourable DVCA, Professor Graham Brown, and he talked a little bit about AI being a game changer and how we need to reframe it from a strengths-based perspective. I think one of the most important things we're doing here is taking an educative approach to the use of generative AI in our work, and that we need to reconsider the nature of assessment altogether. Why do we assess and how do we assess? We had amazing presentations. As you can see, there's some comments from the chat from Kirsten and Robin, and the engagement has been outstanding. And then we had the 2022 Executive Dean's Teaching Award recipients present on their work. And I think it's a really important part of the Teaching Academy work, and the work that's therefore embedded within the CS EdX is recognition of great work. And so it was quite an honour to hear all about that great work. So I think we'll go to day two, but I think the most important point there is the making visible the great work we all do. On day two, we had our keynote speaker, Associate Professor Guy Curtis from the University of Western Australia, on Promote, Prevent and Prosecute, the 3 distinct approaches to academic integrity and academic misconduct for 3 different groups of students. And that was really interesting. And the main point being there that students are not all the same. We cannot do the same thing for each student. But one of the other big points was we need to be really proactive in promoting in academic integrity as the right thing to do. The Learning Management System Masterclass was really well attended. I think possibly the most well attended of all of the sessions. And we had our wonderful guests there sharing their engagement with the new interface. And it was quite a beautiful thing to see. It's a really lovely looking interface. And the most important part out of that was that they were talking about it's less work, less management work, less manual work. And also that the communication with the students is a thing of beauty, and the checklist might be the most exciting thing that we've all discovered there. So thank you to the whole team there, or the whole group of experts for presenting. And then in the afternoon, we had the student panel with Professor Graham Brown, and I think it was amazing. What a wonderful bunch of students. They were so courageous in sharing what they had to say, and they didn't hesitate. And I think the last one, the last comment was talking to, I wish I had a message for my younger self. And I think it's absolutely wonderful that we've centred the student experience in CS EdX. And that'll be something that we keep doing because it's vital that we hear from our students. And I think it shows our commitment. So thank you very much for all of that engagement on day two. And day three, we were celebrating the Teaching Award winners for 2023. There were 9 presentations as well. And we have our, as we are right in it at the moment, our closing sessions. And I think it's really important to highlight that reward and recognition that is central to the Teaching Academy work, and that we then make visible in EdX, and also all the work that you're doing. So I really think you should all consider ways in which we can work together going forward. If you did a presentation or you won an award or you were an expert in one of those sessions, we have now a really vital moment to move ahead. We have received some feedback that Charles Sturt EdX has been excellent, highly relevant and engaging, and that's a wonderful thing. And we had 199 people on the 3rd day, and that really highlights the engagement across the university. And again, we couldn't do it without you, and I thank you sincerely. So they're the highlights of the 3 days. I'd now like to hand to Associate Professor Kushila Kumar, who is the Director of the Teaching Academy and also the Subdean Academic Development in the Division of Learning and Teaching. And as we started on the very first day, Graham acknowledged that Kushila's appointment has made a big difference to this space. So I want to thank Kushila up front and now hand over to you to have a few words. Thanks, Kushila.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and very kind words. I'm having so much fun. It's taken a lot of work to bring this together, but at the same time, it's been such an energizing event for me. I feel like I've been on a 3-day speed date with my lovely colleagues at Charles Sturt University, hearing about what you do in your learning and teaching spaces, hearing about the opportunities for us to connect and have those conversations, hearing about the opportunities for us to really learn with and from and about each other. So I found it so energizing to be part of this event. And, it's for me been such a deep dive and a quick deep dive into the amazing work that's been done across our footprint. So I have a few reflections, as I always do. So what I want to share with you really is some of the things I've taken away around how you are all supporting student success and how you're supporting students learning. So I'll share those reflections with you. And then I have a few reflections very front of mind about what it means for the Teaching Academy and what we might do to build on what we've done together here. But I start by saying that I'm very inspired by you, the work that you're doing and your commitment towards student learning and student success. So it's wonderful to be part of this. So some of the key highlights for me in the conference so far include hearing about learning and assessment experiences that bring the worlds of learning and working closer together for our students. It was there from day dot. From day one, we had such fabulous presentations talking about how you were either taking students out into the real world and engaging them in work integrated learning experience, or you are in fact bringing insights from industry into the classroom, into the clinic, so that students could actually, learn in ways that are authentic and relevant to them as they kind of embark on their professional journey. So that was a highlight for me. Another, I think, amazing highlight, which speaks to the kind of social accountability mission of Charles Sturt University, was that it was very clear that learning and assessment experiences were happening across our footprint that really widen access of our communities and under-resourced or underserved areas to vital services. So those might be in healthcare, they might be around education. We heard this morning around mental health, for example. So once again, I can see how, that social accountability mission, the idea of serving our communities, is really front and center in the way that you are supporting students to learn. I was also really impressed by a lot of the presentations which talked about creating a psychologically safe space for learning for our students, and thinking about, how do we create a space in which students can experiment, they can make mistakes, and importantly, they can learn from those mistakes, right? And I think in day one, especially where we were listening to our 2022 Executive Dean's Teaching Award winners, there was a real sense of how do we support students to kind of understand that failure is okay, actually, and you're in safe hands to fail and learn from those mistakes, and we will kind of hold you gently as you do that. So that was a real gem for me there. What else? I was part of sessions where there was a lot of focus on on learning and assessment experiences that engage students in learning with, from, and about each other. So there was a lot of talk about interprofessional education and, you know, how can we kind of be working across our discipline boundaries or silos? In fact, you know, how can we connect as educators? And by doing so, how can we support our students to connect? And once again, that theme came through this morning as well, where there was quite a nice conversation about how do we connect better as educators, because, you know, it does take a village to raise a student. That keeps coming up and up again. You know, it's a team effort. It takes a village to raise a student. Let's kind of open those communication loops and links up. And I think the Teaching Academy has a role to play in this. So that's why I'm so excited about that. And then last but not least, I think I was really impressed by the conversations and the presentations I heard that were about students, helping students understand their standpoint, their positionality, and learning in the context of country and culture. So, you know, I think that is, again, something that I've heard across the 3 days, and once again, fabulous opportunities for us to showcase that practice a bit more and learn from each other about how we're doing it in our different spaces. So on to my reflections about what this means for the Teaching Academy. So I guess, as I was saying to Lisa before, that as the director of the Teaching Academy, I feel a deep sense of care and responsibility towards you, our educators at Charles Sturt University, you know, to support you to connect with each other, to support you to learn from each other, and to support you to get your stories out there and your work out there and get it recognized. So that reward and recognition kind of space is very important. And I think I'm really thinking of ways in which we can support you in that space. So from the Teaching Academy perspective, I think there's lots to do. And there's many things that we can do, but I'm just going to share a few things that are front of mind for me. So over the last 3 days, I've heard about the amazing expertise and interest that we have across the Charles Sturt footprint, right? And I want us to be able to kind of build on that energy, enthusiasm, and the knowledge sharing that we've done. And we really want to get to know you better. We want to get to know what your expertise is, what your interests are. So what we're going to be doing in the next few days is that we will be sending out to you a short survey that is very much about tapping into that expertise and interest and asking you about what that is, because we really want to start to curate that information so that when I'm thinking about who can we partner with, say, for example, to showcase how we embed Indigenous knowledges into curriculum, or who can we partner with when we're thinking about a pedagogy of kindness, or who can we partner with when we want to showcase our amazing work integrated learning practices that are happening across the footprint. I can go to my Excel file, find your name, reach out to you. So I hope you will indulge me and the Teaching Academy and take a few moments to complete the survey that we'll send out, because we want to hear from you. We want to know you and we want to hear from you. And we're doing that with the specific focus of saying, when we're moving into developing our professional development program for the Teaching Academy, it is going to be one that is very much co-created with you. You are the experts, right? We are the enablers for you to show. So we're the enablers, and our role is to help make visible that expertise, make visible the interest that you have, make visible the amazing work you're doing. So I really want to be able to know who you are so that I can really start those conversations with you to say, hey, would you love to partner with us as we do these things? So that is very much the intention, that there's a co-creation, partnering approach to our professional development work. And it means that we're showcasing practices that are already happening within our footprint and making visible the people and the stories behind the work, which means you as a community, us as a community, we're getting to know each other a bit more. One of the other things, I guess, one of my second last points is that I feel like the Teaching Academy has a really important role to play in supporting our educators to create these very strong, compelling narratives about who we are, what we do, but also why we do what we do. So our philosophy, values, and vision as an educator, and creating these narratives in a way that also speak very clearly to the criteria of various reward and recognition opportunities. So I know, Lisa, you were saying that is a very important role that the Teaching Academy has. So next year I will be working very closely with the team to make sure that we have a wraparound support and I guess feedback and support around our reward and recognition opportunities, so that not only are we showcasing the opportunities to you, but we're also supporting you to go, actually, you know what, I can apply for this, and I can be successful at this. So watch this space, because we will be making visible those opportunities for you to receive some mentoring feedback and so forth around the grants, awards, and fellowships. And then I guess my final reflection is around bringing the worlds of curriculum, teaching, assessment, and the world of scholarship closer together. I feel there's a bit of work that we can be doing. I heard again across the 3 days of people who are doing amazing work, amazing learning and teaching work in their own spaces, but who are also now thinking, what is this from a scholarship perspective? Can I create a scholarly project around this? Can I create a research project around this, such that I can, apply that kind of scholarly inquiry lens onto the work that I'm doing? And I feel like the Teaching Academy will have a big role to play in that space in terms of supporting our educators to think about their learning and teaching practices and use that as a bit of a lab for scholarly inquiry. So I'm very keen to see where this will go, and I think our Teaching Academy leads who have been appointed and who will be appointed next year will also be key kind of part of that collective brains trust to understand what that scheme of support might look like. So I think these are my reflections for now. There will be lots more over the next few days as I think about the experience so far. But thank you very much for the opportunity to share these with you. And like I said, I want to know more about you and what you do, so that I can really start to have very meaningful and purposive conversations about how we can really tap into your expertise. So over to you, Lisa. Thank you.
Thanks, Kashila. That's really exciting and quite an amazing amount of reflection, things to learn from 3 days and things that we can do going forward. So that's fantastic. I'd like to thank everyone who's been involved, Kashila, Tiff, and Lachlan, Lou, Reagan, Mark, Carolyn, and Janelle, and myself. I'll thank myself as well. But I thank you all. We couldn't have done it without you. And I think it ran really smoothly, and I think it looked very professional. And that's because of all the work in the background. So thank you very, very much. I'd like to especially thank the panelists from the LMS Masterclass, the student panelists, our keynote associate professor Guy Curtis, Professor Graham Brown for coming in and starting the whole thing off, Michelle Ploust from the LMS team for doing most of the work on the LMS Masterclass, our session facilitators, and of course our presenters, and the participants who had amazing questions, who engaged in the chat, who asked questions at the end, who just promoted critical thinking throughout. So I thank you all very, very much. It's been an amazing 3 days. And to finish off, we're going to put in the chat the link for the general survey, the conference feedback. I imagine this will also go out in What's New as well, but we've got the QR code if you're that cool. I think QR codes are pretty cool. There's going to be a link going in the chat. It's already there. Kashila, thank you. And we will also be, of course, putting something out in What's New. But I would really appreciate it if you'd take a few minutes just now to complete that survey, that conference feedback, because it is with that we can improve what we do. And It's been a joy to be involved. Thank you, Kashila, for inviting me to open and close the event. And thank you, everyone, for your time. It's been absolutely lovely. Thank you.